What's up, everyone? Welcome to the sixth episode of the Boundless Media Experience. We have yet to come up with an amazing name, but nonetheless, we're going to be talking about lead generation and how to be more personal in this ever-increasing automation of a world. You have your three co-hosts here, Nico the Brain. We have the amazing Larissa Lamaster and Justine. If I butcher your last name, you tell me, but Justine Anderson. What's up, guys?
That's right.
I feel like my radio dream is slowly but surely dying after these six episodes because I'm just not as
I
clean.
think you have a good radio voice. Though. I think,
Yeah.
Stay tuned for Boundless Media ASMR. Justine, what are we talking about today? What's going on?
Today, we are talking about how to find your ideal client, because that's really the basis of all lead gen strategies, is knowing who you're going after. Otherwise, we know you're just going to fail, basically. So what have we been doing recently to find our ideal client, or what have we done in the past to build up to where we are today and how we're so successful?
Yeah, so this is a very interesting conversation because I used to be a fan of niching down, and I was really, really good at it up until the point where I started Boundless Media with Larissa, because then all the ideas and all the theories went out the door. And as a marketing agency, we try to help so many different people in multiple different industries, different size businesses, and different stages of growth. And we did not do good, to be honest. Like, I mean, you guys did an amazing job. Justine's always been crushing it with content, but frankly speaking, like, we were going all over the place. We didn't have a concise message, and it was just hard to really nail down the perfect step-by-step process to helping our clients, because we had clients all over the place. So really, over the last couple of years, I say graciously, is really been over the last 6 months, we have really niched down into helping agencies, so software development firms and marketing agencies that are looking to grow considerably, right? We have been blessed to work with different clients, and when we really looked at internal data and gauged team buy-in, is a great word of saying, like buy-in, it came out that those two niches, and especially those wanting to grow a lot in somewhat of a shorter period of time, we're looking at 12 24 months for a lot of growth, we decided that is the place that we're going to really niche down into. So yes, it's an industry, but it's also a psychographic breakdown of the perfect clients that we have. So it's interesting because we let the data speak for itself. We looked at who stays longer with us, who's most happy, who's more likely to refer someone to Boundless Media, and on the other side, who do we like to work with, who isn't, who doesn't fit with our culture. And these were important questions to ask, and we had to make some really hard decisions as a company to say no to opportunities. And I say that, and then I'm coming to Justine with more opportunities than we can handle. But in doing that, we're able to get very deep in not just our own content messaging outbound, but how we serve the clients that fit into that. In the episode, right? It's so great.
Yeah. So what kind of specific things did you look for when you're looking at that data? Like any big questions that you were trying to answer, or small questions that you were trying to answer? Anything specific that people can do right now with the data that they have?
This was really brought in by Larissa. She's like, hey, listen, like, we're preaching like niching down, but like, you're going after every single person underneath the sun. So I would say, like, externally, it was needed. And then really, when we're looking at data, we're looking at honestly client LTV. We're saying, okay, what first start, like, what clients and who are these clients, and who at these companies that we work with are we doing the best work for, which typically means how successful are our campaigns, A, B, how long do they stay? And then we quantified like what that would be worth to our organization as well as theirs. So that was the baseline. And then from there, it got more tactical. Okay, we have these 10 clients that fit that. but who within those are the most responsive? Who's our strategy more geared towards? We have a lot of open, transparent communication at Boundless, and we iterate really quickly, which means that we're a lot more proactive than reactive as an organization. Some clients are a little bit more reactive and move a little slower, and that's great. But for us to be most successful, we find a vein of gold. We're not going to go worry about digging anywhere else besides that vein of gold because we're starting to see something. So that that process again doesn't happen overnight. This is over months and months and months for us to really get clear on just like the niche. And then once we did that, it was months and months and months to see, okay, who at those organizations do we most well connect with?
And just to add to that, another thing that I think was really impactful for us in kind of deciding those niches was really like who we found we were the best at selling to. So the people that we found we connected the best with and had the best conversations in the sales process as well. Like we found that like even before we had kind of decided these niches, we pretty much were already doing a lot of work in them, even though we weren't as specific. Like now, if you're not in those niches, you're probably not a good fit for us as like a client. Before we probably would have taken you on anyway, even if it wasn't the greatest fit, just because we didn't really have that decision and we didn't really know. But we found that even through just our sales process, like, Nico as a salesperson tends to connect most with those people. We found that people in those organizations did better in our sales process as well. So not only were they doing better in our sales process, but then they also did better on the back end because we connected with them more, we knew them better, we had a better understanding of their business. And they were hungry like us. Like they had a lot of those traits of like our organization within their own, which we worked with a lot of people where they're basically like, okay, see you guys in 3 months. And it's kind of just like, okay, like that's not the most helpful for us when we, need to be making a lot of changes and we need to be iterating and trying to find that vein of gold essentially is what we're doing. So the people that wouldn't kind of have that perspective on things, we found really difficult to work with. And we found that to be more common in some industries than others. So in the industries we focus in, we find that we work best with them.
Yeah, I think you guys definitely also looked at like who our team members enjoyed working with. And I've definitely noticed a big change there. It's like we actually enjoy working with all of our clients now instead of just like some of them and not really with the others who are not responsive. And definitely like looking for culture fit there too, I'm sure, when you're niching down.
Yeah,
That
absolutely.
has been really big.
And it's something that's sometimes harder to quantify. I've been talking a lot about demographic and psychographic conversations, right? And demographically, it's pretty easy to find out who would be a great fit for us on paper, but it completely changes when you have a conversation and you start talking about goals and outcomes with prospects. Because they're early on in our career, if you wanted lead gen, we would try and help you. Now, Legion can be helpful, but if it's unrealistic expectations or goals, then we're doomed from the start. And I'd rather not waste a client's time, money, or resources on something that's doomed to fail in the beginning, which is really hard because that means turning people away that on paper are great fits, and you might even like them. I've struggled with that too. Is I really like most of the people we talk to, and I want to, which we'll talk about next episode maybe, which is the meal test or the meal rule TM. So it's been hard, but like if the numbers don't make sense in the beginning, you're kind of doomed from the start. So that's why a lot of lead generation companies have such a negative rep, is because you don't know the goals and you don't actually know the numbers to support if this is a good investment or not.
Yeah, and that's definitely a really big piece. So when we talk about like steps that we take to find that ideal client for us, it really comes down to like one, like Nika was saying, those demographics. Like, do they fit our niche and our target on paper? So for anybody applying this to their own businesses, you kind of need to have that piece figured out first. Like that's probably the most important piece. And the way you get that is to really take a close look at like all the people you've worked with in the past and figure out which ones of them you were most successful for and which ones you liked working with the best, and focus on those people. So once you kind of can narrow those people down and kind of get their demographics down on paper, then you go find those people. You go find those people who you have proven success with and you like working with them. Then the next step is, again, really to focus on like, are they a good fit for you, your team, and your workflow? Because there's a lot of people that, they'll tell us, they'll be like, great, so we're going to have like 100 leads this month, right? And we're like, this is your first month working with us. And it takes time to figure out the right messaging, especially if you have like a particularly difficult niche. It does take time. It's not as simple as like, okay, we turned something on and now you get leads, right? Like it doesn't work like that. So we need to work with people that understand that process and that have a good understanding and those realistic expectations. Like those are all really important things in finding your ideal client. It goes so far beyond the like, okay, well, they have 20 employees and they make this amount of money and this is their type of business. So like they're a good fit for me. It's a lot more than that.
Yeah, and I think I'm going to add to it, which I think is something that's relatively new that we're bringing out, is does your offer actually matter to the marketplace? It's been so interesting now saying, besides being great on paper and that we like you and we can think we can work together, does the market actually want/need what you have to offer? Which is very interesting, because now it's getting into what lead generation I think should be, which is taking you from 1 to 100 rather than taking you from 0 to 1. And like a last episode that we talked about, when's a great time to hire an agency, a lead generation partner, is when you're going from 1 to 100 or 1 to 10, right? You really don't want to bring in a partner early unless you are clear with the fact that you're going to be testing. It's going to be testing. There's not going to be a direct ROI yet. So does the market actually need your offer is something that I look for ridiculously much nowadays, where I'm just like, what actually do you want, right? Like, or what does the market actually want? And it might not be your service, and I have to qualify that.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, sorry, Justine.
Oh no, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like, definitely keeping in mind all of those pieces is incredibly important, especially when it comes to like getting the right client in the door for you. Again, you're going to focus on all those things, but it is really important to think about like, can you help someone? And that's kind of a lot about what Nika was saying as well. Like, it's not just about taking in clients that are willing to pay you. It does go beyond that. Like, I could be willing to write somebody $1,000 check today with the expectation that maybe like that service will be worth it for me. And no matter what it is, if it turns out to not be a good relationship, it probably wasn't worth it from the beginning. If it was something that like the goals didn't line up, the intentions didn't line up, just overall, like it wasn't a match, I probably should have been qualified out before I gave you that money, because then it only ends badly.
Yeah, it's very interesting. It's very interesting. And again, part of these podcasts are to share what we've gone through, so that at any point, if you're listening to this, these are the thoughts that you really, I wish we knew, frankly speaking. And again, to a certain extent, like I wrote a book and one of the biggest chapters was that the riches are in the niches. But once I got into the actual work, I steered away from that. So theories are great,
Yeah,
but
it's just really easy to, if somebody is willing to pay you, it's really easy to take that money. So it's hard sometimes to have to be like, no, I don't think that I'm a good fit for you, even though you're willing to pay me, even though like, this could be a client relationship. It will probably end badly. So we're not going to pursue that path. And that was a really hard conversation for us to have with ourselves, as far as we had to be like, no, like they're not a good fit for us. and we're not a good fit for them. Like it goes two ways.
Yeah. So even if that client would have boosted, our numbers, you had to decide, it's not worth it because we know we're not going to be successful. So just knowing when to make that decision, I guess, is very important to figure out.
Yeah, and like that, it's really hard. That's why, like Nico was saying, we didn't at first niche down, because it was just like we were like, well, we have these people that are willing to pay us, so we're going to take that money and we're going to try our hardest to make it work, but might not work.
Yeah, it's hard, right? So it's definitely, this isn't easy. Niching down is not hard. Like Larissa said, you have to say no to more opportunities than not. I constantly have to say no to people. We're like, oh, can you do this? I'm like, no, we just don't have capacity, right? And there might be someone who's like 90% of the way perfect, but if I have someone who's 100% perfect, I have to go with the 100%. It's in my best interest and theirs, frankly speaking. So niching down is not easy, but this is a way that you can actually look internally at your data to make more informed decisions on who might be a better target for you. And it doesn't have to be hard. Like, let's get very actionable. Let's take 100% of your clients, past and current. Let's put a very simple check mark. Was that a successful engagement? Yes or no? Then out of all the yeses, start looking at, okay, great. Now within those, what was the value per client? Okay. And say, okay, we worked great with this, but these type of clients are more valuable. And you want to do the same thing with the no's. Why were they no's? And out of them, how can we spot that before engaging with someone? So you want to do both niches for that work well with you and who don't, so that you can say no to people based on data and not just your gut feeling. Any other questions, concerns, comments, team?
I would say, I just want to say, first of all, to everybody, thank you so much for listening. The only other thing just to keep in mind is really focus on like, who is your right person? Like, if you don't have that figured out, that is an immensely important question that you need to answer. And I would also just encourage you to be patient with yourself a little bit, because it takes a lot of time to figure out. You can't just like in an afternoon be like, okay, that's it. Like, it's fluid. It will probably change. It takes a lot of time to figure things out and a lot of experimentation. So definitely like try to find who that right person is for you, and accept that that process is kind of a long process to go through to really establish like who's the perfect fit for you. A lot of different factors go into deciding that. And it's a really important question that you need to have answered, but be patient, really look at the data, take the data, analyze it, and continue to analyze it. So analyze it, every week for like 6 months. And what you get in week 1 is almost definitely not what you're going to get at the end of, month 6.
Yeah. And once you start even niching down, let the data speak for itself. How many calls are you getting, right? How many of them are turning into successful next steps? Maybe that's a proposal, a statement of work, maybe. How many are closing? Because that will also impact and change the way that you do marketing and lead generation specifically. Is great. We have 100 people that are interested, but only one becomes a client. That's still not great, right? So something's broken either in your sales process, the offering, or the niche itself. So this has been a fantastic episode 6, everyone. We so appreciate you all for being here. If you have any ideas for new topic content pieces that we can go over, please let myself know at nico@getboundlessmedia.com. Or if you're struggling to find out who's that perfect niche, how can I get more of those type of clients in our door, look no further than getboundlessmedia.com. And we're always here to be of value. You guys have a fantastic day, and we'll talk real soon. Peace.